I started House of Salt and Sorrow by Aaron Craig, and guys, oh my god, I'm literally on like chapter 5 or 6, but this book is so good. Hello my fellow gods and goddesses, welcome back to my channel. My name is Heather, and today we are going to be doing a Judge a Book by its cover on House of Salt and Sorrows by Aaron A. Craig. I have been waiting to do this since I finished reading this book for the first time in February. I received an ARC of this via NetGalley through the publishers, and ever since then I have been absolutely obsessed with this story. I am so incredibly nervous to film this review because I'm so afraid I'm going to forget something or it's just not going to be coherent because I love it so much, and when am I ever coherent in any of my videos anyways? Really would just love it if you guys would just save all of us the hassle and just, you know, stop watching this video and just go buy the book right now. Just get in your car and go buy it because you're gonna want to. I am indulging your capitalistic practices. Yes, I am, and I'm totally taking advantage of it because you need this book. If you guys don't know, if you guys are new here to my style of reviews, I like to do a makeup look based on the cover of a book while I give you guys a review of said book. And this is one of those videos. Welcome, hello. If you see the cover, it is kind of like a tide pool. A lot of dark greens and blues. It's like kind of like an ocean floor kind of aesthetic, and I have a perfect liquid eyeshadow that matches it perfectly, so we're just going to base the look off of that. I said I've been wanting to, or preparing to film this video since February, but like all things I do, I am going in blind and unprepared. First of all, we're going to get into the quick synopsis of this book. House of Salt and Sorrows is a 12 Dancing Princesses retelling, which is my personal favorite fairy tale, and we follow the now 8 Thomas sisters as they are in this mourning process because up until this point 4 of the sisters have died, and we enter the book at the funeral of the newly deceased sister, who is Eulalie. Eulalie was the 4th oldest. Ava is the oldest, then it's Octavia, then it's Elizabeth, Eulalie, Camille, Annalie, Rosalie, Ligeia, and Lenore, which are the triplets. Then we have the Graces, who are the youngest 3 sisters, who is Honor, Mercy, and Verity. The setting of this book is one of the most beautifully done things I've ever read about. The setting takes place in the Saloon, not sure how you pronounce it, islands. There's 5 islands kind of in a, I think she describes it as like a crescent shape or like a belt shaped, I can't exactly remember. And all the islands are really close to each other, and they're the Thomas sisters' father, the Duke, he is the ruler of these islands, and the overall country where these islands are placed is Arcania, and we kind of get to see other places in Arcania as the story goes along. An interesting thing about the Thomas sisters is because 4 of their sisters have already died, the villagers believe that the sisters are cursed and there's this curse upon them, so everybody kind of ignores them, and that's quite a difficult process considering that they are daughters of dukes and they kind of want to get married and make families of their own, but when the whole world thinks being around you is going to kill them, nobody really wants to, you know, shack up with you. So that's a big problem of the story for the sisters, especially the now eldest, the heir of Highmore, which is their estate, Camille. She is real stressed about it. This is also taken place during Victorian times, and also because this is set during Victorian times, there is a very gothic atmosphere to this story, which is only added to the fact that there is, because the setting is like this overcast island, very dark, dreary. And the dreary aesthetic is only amplified because these sisters have basically spent their entire lives in mourning. It started with their mother, and then their sisters started dying off one by one. There's this overarching theme of just death. There's a lot of dying in this. It's very gruesome and gritty. It's real tragic, and it just adds to the overall feeling of the book. So there's two main plot points of this book that you kind of follow along the story. The first one is the mystery of Eulily's death, because Annalee, our main character, who is the middle child, is convinced that her death was not an accident. So that's one of the plot points, as Annalee is trying to figure out what exactly happened to Eulalie. Another big plot point of this book relates to the original fairy tale. And if you guys know anything about the original fairy tale, the princesses use this magical door to go to all of these balls, and it's exactly the same in this book. And you follow the sisters as they try to find Pontus's door, and Pontus is the island's main god. In the country of Arcania, there is a pantheon of gods, just like in like Greek mythology and stuff like that. But on these islands, they believe in the other gods, but Pontus is kind of the only god they really worship. And there's mythos behind this magical door that he used to travel across all of Arcania. To follow this book through these two plot points and see it all come together is such an insane and wild ride. That's one of the major points that I want to push down, is just this book is so intricate and so just insane. It is an intense, extremely intense story. The atmosphere, with the juxtaposition between the mourning and the grief and the overall dreariness, not only of the island but of the people themselves, in juxtaposition to the absolute magic and beautiful, elegant, bright, vibrant atmosphere of the balls, further makes the balls more alluring, and you're just sucked in to them, which further just drives in the message of the story and what ultimately happens. So you find yourself being enchanted by these events just as the sisters are, which makes it all the more crazy when revelations of the story happen. Now, I want to kind of highlight my favorite parts of this book, and then we'll get into the criticisms of the book, because I like to be thorough in my reviews because I'm a professional. My favorite parts of this story, one, are the aesthetics. Erin A. Craig is able to completely create such an intricate and beautiful world. Her descriptions of her settings and just everything, just everyday atmosphere, is absolutely stunning. She is such a talented writer. I cannot stress that enough. My tabbing system, I have one for appearances and aesthetics and everything, and I used so many of those tabs in this book. And I can't really convince you of it more because you're just gonna have to read it, which I know you already will already, because why wouldn't you? Another thing that I absolutely adore, you guys know by now that I am such a fan of standalone fantasies. If I were to come out with a book, I would want it to look exactly like this book. Not necessarily in plot or atmosphere or anything like that, but just the ability of Craig to create this world. The world building is absolutely phenomenal. That's probably the standout right under the aesthetics and the atmosphere of this book. She creates this entire mythology that is just ingrained in almost every single page of this book. If you are a mythology lover, I highly recommend reading this book. Upon first read, I didn't realize just how intricate the mythology is in the plot, but upon reread, it's so prevalent, and it's not in a confusing way. So if you are confused by mythology and all the gods and everything, it's not, she doesn't info dump or anything like that. It's just sporadic little information about and qualities about their gods. So I wouldn't worry too much. And aside from the mythology, just the world itself, the amount, I really hope the finished copy has a map in it, because it is a little confusing without something to visualize, because there are a lot of places that are kind of thrown at you. Erin A. Craig is able to create such a vast and intricate world in 400 pages, better than your fave can do in 5+ books. I'm always just so impressed by standalone fantasies, because we're so used to fantasies with like 5+ books in a series, and she's able to do all of that in 400 pages, and I am just constantly amazed by that. I don't know, maybe that's just me. Now we're gonna get into the star of the show. This is what I was mentioning. This is the Liquid Shadow. This is the ColourPop Supernova Shadow in Mothership, and you guys aren't gonna be able to see because I don't have a Beauty Guru camera, but it has duochrome, and it has that like deep green blue base to it that it's gonna be perfect for this book. And I'm just going to create a cut crease just with the wand. Oh yes, this is exactly what I wanted. Oh, that is stunning. My third absolute favorite thing that I couldn't appreciate until I reread it, which I highly recommend please rereading this. I know it's a lot to ask for you to not only buy the book and read the book, but to also read it again. And I don't think you don't need to reread it to like fully appreciate the story, but I know I loved the story even more upon reread. Craig does foreshadowing better than any book I've ever read in my life. Her foreshadowing is so subtle, so you don't necessarily realize it's foreshadowing to begin with, which I feel like is important in a mystery, horror, fantasy-esque setting. It's just so beautifully done that I enjoyed it even more upon reread. It's because there's such good foreshadowing in this book that I disagree with the majority of the criticisms for this book, and that is that the ending is rushed. And the reason I don't agree with that is because of how much foreshadowing is in this book. But of course, when you're reading the book for the first time, and again, it's not in your face, you don't realize that it's foreshadowing. Upon that transition, let's go into the criticism. There aren't too many negative reviews for this book quite yet because, again, it hasn't come out yet, but I do anticipate there being some, so I'm just gonna kind of address them right here so you guys know going in, because I want to fully prepare you to give this book 5 stars. The first thing I said was that the ending was rushed. That's the majority of the criticism so far. I anticipate it being continuing to be the majority, because in this book, shit goes down in the last 150 pages. My mind has never been more boggled by any book. It is truly, it's like psychological thriller horror kind of thing. And I preface saying horror because I've never really read horror before aside from Into the Drowning Deep, but for YA, this is horror. This is so dark and gruesome and gritty and intense. If you're a horror lover and you've been waiting for a dark YA fantasy, oh boy, do you need this book. You need it. I have never been more creeped out in my entire life. Like, even if you guys have read The Diviners, that book is pretty creepy as well when you read at night, but I was reading this at like 1:30 in the morning, and I got to chapter 31 and I had to put it down. I was like, I ain't reading this. I'm not reading this at 1:30 in the morning. No ma'am. I don't believe in ghosts, but I'm not gonna let that energy come into I'm not gonna allow that to happen. No ma'am, no ma'am, no ma'am. Maybe I'm just a wimp. I don't know. It could be, but it's so intense. Because it's so insane, I totally 100% understand people being like, the ending was rushed, it was crazy, but again, the foreshadowing is there. It's there, I promise. She didn't just pull it out of her ass. She did not just come up with this ending last minute. She knew what she was doing. She knew exactly what she was doing and where her story was going. Hi, so editing Heather here, because this was inevitable that I would lose a clip while filming probably my most important review of the entire year. I am so happy about it. It's great. But another criticism that got lost in the review is that there is insta-love between Annalie and her love interest. I personally don't mind it because I believe that they have a ton of chemistry, but I want to preface that because I know it's a trope that not a lot of people like. There is insta-love, but Cassius is like so dreamy. He's like the love interest that 14-year-old you would sell your soul to. And I love him so much. I love their chemistry. The epilogue makes the horror, sadness, depression of everything so worth it. It really just made my Capricorn moon ass so happy and taught me what emotions were. So there you go. Also, everybody in this book is unfortunately appearingly white, cis, and heterosexual. Unless I missed something, there isn't really any diversity in it whatsoever, and that is definitely a bummer, especially in a book coming out in 2019, and that's my biggest disappointment or gripe with the book. Also, there are some trigger warnings in this book. There is a bunch of death and suicide. There is nothing really explicit, but it's there, so be aware of that. There is some semblance of like physical / emotional abuse because the Duke is just a shitty kind of person, so, and he's an alcoholic, so there's that too. There is a difficult pregnancy in the book, and if that is a trigger for you, DM me on Twitter. I'll go into more details with you there. That's pretty much it. You unfortunately missed the lost, hilarious, and entertaining remarks that I inevitably had, but hopefully you guys aren't too upset about it. I'm sorry. I'm depressed and very mad right now. I will make note that I did a vlog of this book and I posted it. That was my last upload, so go and check it out if you want to see my exact reactions upon reread. I'm sure you guys will hear some repetition. If I just haven't done enough for you in this video, go check out my vlog. Another cool thing about the vlog, if you don't want to just hear me talk, is I actually got a annotated copy of the arc at Y'all West this year, courtesy of the author, and I would just go watch that vlog just to see her little annotations in it because I thought they were really interesting to read about while I was reading. I'm pretty much done talking, so I am going to go off camera. I'm going to do my brows, eyeliner, lashes, lips, all that jazz off camera, so be right back. Alright you guys, so that is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please, please, please go pick this book up. You will not regret it. Go check out my vlog if you guys want to get extra House of Salt and Sorrows content. My camera is about to die, so sorry for the speedy outro, but I hope you guys enjoyed this look. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. I hope you guys enjoyed this book, and I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye!